The record. Okay, everybody, welcome to our Doterra community, Doterra in Israel, and also Doterra in New Mexico in the United States. And my name is Kara Blattman-Rock. I am one of the founders of Doterra in Israel. And I'm happy to have you guys all here. So there's so many people joining. I'm going to just be tapping. So we're here with my mother-in-law, Shira Chernobyl, and she was also the first, she wins the award for the first wellness advocate in Israel for Doterra. And that's a whole nother story, but back in 2012, I moved to Israel, and Doterra was not in Israel in 2012, except for delivering to the one wellness advocate there, Shira Chernobyl, my mother-in-law. So she has two claims to fame in our Doterra community: the first Doterra wellness advocate in Israel, and now today's topic, Neshama, this beautiful blend that she's created. And this is the story behind that blend and the history, because it existed before November 1st when it came out into Doterra Europe and Doterra Israel. So we want to hear about the history of the Neshama oil and how it came about and was created, and the process that Shira went through to get it to where it is today. I just have to say that I've just gotten so much feedback on this oil and how well it's being received, right, Shira? Like, everybody is just loving it. I know that so many people in the United States want to have it, so we can't wait. We just need everybody in Europe and Israel to get it, to use it, to send feedback that you love it and want it to see it in other places of the world, because I know many of my community here in the United States would like to have the Neshama oil as well. And so please, after this call, write an email to Doterra Israel or product support saying you'd like to have more of this oil all over the world. So let's get started. Shira, welcome. Thank you so much for being here, my dear mother-in-law. Please tell us your name and a little bit about your background before Doterra, what your professional background.
Okay. Well, I'm Shira. I'm Kara's mother-in-law, which is a pure honor and gift and a lot of love. I'm trying not to cry, but I was just in the States for 5 weeks almost with Kara and my son and grandchildren. And it was like, it was one of the most beautiful trips. It was pure love, pure being taken care of. It was a perfect trip. I am, first of all, I've lived in Israel now for 36 years. I lived in New Mexico before, and my husband and I and our baby at that point, my son Moshe, we moved to Israel. Ishmael stayed in Albuquerque for many different reasons, and we live in Toccoa. I was and am a pastoral counselor, which is a spiritual caregiver. I work with grief and illness, death, both, and work with families as well as the person who was dying. I was trained by Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, as well as the Sisters of Charity, nuns. There weren't any Jewish chaplains at that point. And so the nuns were my teachers, and they are the ones who helped me come back to being Jewish. I always have had an affinity of working with people who were ill. My parents were Holocaust survivors, and that created the wanting to understand something about death and life. And so I trained as a pastoral counselor and have been doing that now for 50 years. I work as pastoral counselor here in Israel. I work for the Kobe Mandel Foundation and work in the community that I live on, in the special care that they have within the community. I'm also a trained massage therapist, and that's where I became more involved with oils. I always used oils, but at my age, before the oils that I was aware of, incense was the big thing. I never liked the burning, but that's what it was. As a massage therapist, I learned about oils, and that's the beginning of my journey in Israel, just the very tip of it. Kara, you want more information or?
So I'm going to run this kind of like a discussion interview. So I do have some questions. So that's great as far as your background goes. And then I do want a quick a snapshot of what was your first experience and what created your love for doTERRA essential oils.
Well, I really remember that because that was in your house. And I had been, like I said, I've been a massage therapist now for 31 years and have used an array of oils from all over the place. I never was, I'm not going to say happy with them, but I wasn't content with the oils that I was using. They felt too oily, or they didn't feel real, or the smell felt not alive. And I remember being in Kara's house one time when I was visiting, and she said to me that she had these oils that she wanted me to look at and smell. And that was the beginning of doTERRA. The smell and the touch. And because I'm a massage therapist, the touch was very important to me. It was like a spring, like a river. It had a clarity and a cleaning, a cleanliness to it that made me breathe, made me feel alive. There was something different about these oils that, in many words, there weren't words for it. For me, particularly because touch was so important, it didn't have to do so much with words. But there was that sense of a river, like a flowing stream of freshness. That was the beginning of doTERRA. And so I thought, what the heck, I'm going to sign up. I really like the smell of these oils and I want to try them. And so at that point, Israel was not on the map, but I got my products. It did take a while, but they came. And that was
not
the
on the
beginning.
map for doTERRA. It's definitely on the map for everything else.
Right.
So let's get into the Neshama oil. We're all here because of this oil and want to learn more about it and behind the creation of it. So what motivated you? Tell us the story of what motivated you to create this blend.
Okay. So as I said to you, I am a pastoral counselor, a spiritual caregiver. And 9 years ago, the war, or 8 years ago, I think, the war in Gaza broke out. And one of my sons was in the army at that point, and he was down there. But I was very connected to my country. It's a small one. So you're connected from one end to the other. And I went down there to work as a massage therapist when missiles were falling, but it felt very important to go. And so I worked in different community centers and senior centers and daycare centers as a massage therapist. And I handed out oils to the workers there. It was wild orange in particular that I handed out. I had little samples and I just gave them away. When I came home, I felt like I wanted to do more. And there were a lot of people, a lot of soldiers were dying. A lot of people were dying. It was a traumatic experience for the country. And I knew that I needed to do something. Now, I believe that the ketoret, which is the incense burning in the temple, was a very healing oil. It wasn't an oil, it was a burning. It was an
Incense.
incense, right? And I knew that the products or the herbs in this oil created healing, emotionally, physical, spiritual. And so I started to read more about that incense and what it contains. Now, I know that halakhically, law-wise, Jewish, where you cannot produce it until the third temple comes back into existence. But I knew that there were oils in there that were about healing, about creating a connection with yourself and a higher power, God, a connection with other people, a connection with letting go of fear, connecting to something greater. And so I started to put things together. Now, I do have to say that I remember specifically sitting in the room that I am now, asking, I have to say, God, to help me to figure out what oils to use in this blend. And I listened to the inner voice, my higher place, higher self.
Neshama.
My Neshama, thank you. And came up with this recipe. And it's a specific recipe that has, as you all know, frankincense and myrrh. I added things that were not part of the ketoret, such as cedarwood and lavender and wild orange. Because cedarwood was what the temple was built. And it is an extremely powerful, strong oil. And we know wild orange is a joy of uplifting and creates a sense of well-being. And lavender is about calming and relaxing. And I put these oils together to create that feeling for someone. So that's what I did. And so I got
go.
these.
You started
Go
talking
ahead.
about the oils. Go ahead and finish each
Okay.
oil. Why you were
I'll
inspired to
read
put
what
it.
I have. Lavender, myrrh, frankincense, cassia, cypress, cedarwood, cinnamon, wild orange, and spikenard. And I think those are the oils that I put into this recipe. And as you know, some of them are from the temple: myrrh, frankincense, cassia. What else would I? Spikenard. Those are specific oils that were in the temple. And so that.
And the reason, give just a little bit of a insight to those particular oils, like what they do and why they're in this blend.
Because first of all, God told us to use them in the Torah, and he asked us to make this incense that was used in the temple for, like I said, for creating a closeness with God, but also was used in time of plagues. Okay. So it was a combination of many things, and it was burnt twice a day, once in the morning and once in the late afternoon. And it was done by the high priest, the Kohanim. And so each of these oils, we know the one specifically for the temple, but like I said, lavender for calming, and the wild orange. Cypress, they used cypress wine. So I decided to use cypress because cypress is also very good for grieving. It was used to be put on the beds of loss, of people who had gone through loss. And they would put the leaves of the cypress tree on the bed for helping people with their grief or their loss process. And so I tried to create something that had to do with loss. At that point, it had to do with loss. And this is what I came up with. And so I made them I want to show you. It's right here. I made them in these small bottles, okay? And I decided that I was going to get addresses of families that had lost somebody, and I was going to send them the oil. Now, before I created this card, which I don't know how much you can see.
Yeah, we'll read it. We should
Okay.
read it.
Okay, you want me to read it now?
We'll finish what you were going to say about
Okay.
it.
So so this is the card that I sent with the oil to people whenever I had an address. And so I've been sending this oil now, not only, of course, to Israel, but all over the world. It's a gift. It's a pure gift. And it's gone to every country where there's been a terrorist attack, a trauma, individuals who have needed it. The letter is in Hebrew and English. It comes in other languages as well, Spanish, French. I've had people help me translate it in Russian, Arabic. It's in many languages, and it's gone all over the place. And so this I've been doing for the last 8 years, creating this oil, making it and sending it away. 2 years ago, when COVID hit, I had this insight that I need to let Doterra know more about the incense burning in the temple, because it was for plagues. And Aaron, who was the high priest at that time, ran around in the community of all the people with this incense, preventing people from dying. And so I said, I'm going to send it to Doterra and see what happens. So I sent them the exact recipe, and they were interested. And it was in a process of a year from the time I sent it to the time that it was or became official, because it had to go through the chemical labs. And then they wanted information about why I chose these oils. So I sent them, with the help of people in my community, my son-in-law in particularly, where in the Torah it states the oils and how it was used, so that they would have an understanding of what I was doing.
Mhm.
And a year later, here it came.
Amazing, amazing. So, why do you feel? What do you feel, or what is your intention? What was your intention when you made this oil? I know. I mean, what could you tell people now that are currently getting it? Like, what's the best way to use it? We know that, like, you can benefit from oils for anything that's really going on emotionally or physically, but what's the specific reason you would tell people to use this oil and how to use it?
First of all, I think the oil
This
is
blend,
specific.
we should say. We're
The
saying
blend.
oil, but it's a blend.
Right, you're right. Thank you. I created it for loss. And that's why I created it, for loss. And
Not losing your keys, but
no, losing a loved one. No, losing a loved one. And the feedback from people who have grieved, and this was before my husband died, who died a year and a half ago, was immense. People being able to sleep, people anxiety lessened, people physical ailments disappearing. I think
stay compliant. So, like, it's not, people were
right,
feeling
right,
better in the things that were coming up for them because
correct.
of loss of a loved one.
Right. Thank you. Sorry. And also, I think one of the most beautiful things that I received was from a woman who had been in a terrorist attack and felt when she received the oil that she was not alone, that there were people who cared about her that she didn't even know.
Right.
And that's, to me, one of the most amazing benefits of the Neshama, is that it creates a connection with another person. And I have to tell you that like I said, my husband died 19 months ago. And I use the Neshama on myself continuously, and I still use it with his death. Now, sleep was sporadic for me in the very beginning, but it did something for me emotionally. And almost I could see things clearer. I could understand things better. And it also, particularly in the last few months, it's relieved some of my anxiety. Because since I came, before I left, I was very anxious about going to the States. And, but the oil seemed to lessen the anxiety, because I would put it on my heart, I'd put it on my hands, I would breathe it in, and I would say an affirmation that would help calm me down. So it was a combination of both the physical and the ability to want to do something different for myself. And that's what other people seem to have done with the Neshama oil in their own lives. And that's, go ahead.
No, finish that sentence.
I remember. And that's, to me, the most beautiful part of this oil. This oil is Neshama. This is a higher part of who all of us are. And
right,
that's
so
why it works.
So that's what I want you to go into, because I think we didn't really get across yet, like the name and its origin and what it means, and how did you come up with it?
Okay. Doterra is a community in Israel, and the way we have been from the very beginning, when at first was just myself and then a few Kara and then a few other people in Tekoa, was to work together to create something that Kara created in Israel. And so the Neshama name came because of the Doterra community. I remember putting it up on the Doterra WhatsApp and saying, I have this blend and I need some help to find a name for it. I'd like some suggestions. And Neshama was the one that came up by most of the people. And I said, okay, that's it. Then that's what we're going to call it. And that's what it's been.
And tell people not everybody here's from Israel or Jewish, so tell them what that means.
Correct, thank you. Right, sorry about that. It means soul. It means your higher soul. It also has to do with breath and the breathing in of that higher place inside of yourself. And that's it. It's something so simple, yet such a mystery, but so simple.
Yeah. And it's Hebrew. It's originates from the Hebrew language, Neshama.
Correct.
So, I mean, it's so amazing. Like I have to just give a little insight on my process in this story. Is Shira started the project 8 years ago, like she said, and I helped when I could, but I felt like I had a lot of projects going on. So, and she had her team that was working with her to do it, and I'd help when I could. But then when she asked me that she wanted to introduce it to Doterra Europe, see if they'd take it on, I had my doubts. I really did, because it's like, I don't know, how could they do that? Like they would just take on. And we sent it in, and it was so surprising that it was a year turnaround, almost exactly, and that they kept the exact blend. It's a slightly maybe a little bit softer because you were creating it in a 5 milliliter roll-on, and this is created in the 10 milliliter roll-on, so it's not quite as strong, which is okay for the general use, I think, for everybody out there. But they kept the name, which is Hebrew, and then they added just the perfect subtitle of Soulful Blend. It's just really made me so proud of you, Shira, and your commitment and consistency to this project. And it made me so proud of doTERRA that they really saw the beauty and the importance of this oil, and that they kept it pure to its name and its blend. And then just the response of the executives and the marketing team, that everybody loves this oil, and they say that. And Shira's not on Instagram, so let me tell you, like, there was doTERRA Europe Instagram, and it did like a little piece on like, what's your favorite oil? What's the oil you're currently in love with? What oil would you take on a desert island? And just some different fun little questions about essential oils. And I kept looking at it, and Neshama was named in quite mint, because they would repost everybody's response in doTERRA Europe and doTERRA Israel. And Neshama was on there as people's current favorite oil, quite a bit. And it was not Israelis, it was a lot of Europeans that are saying that Neshama is their favorite oil. So I was really proud of that, and I wanted to share that with you, Shira. It really is making a worldwide impact, well, a European Israel impact, and we hope that it will come to the United States as well. So I want to open it up to the community that's here on the phone, because we've answered most of my questions. Like, my question to those of you on the call, so you have something to go from, is, do you have the Neshama blend, and are you currently using it? And if you are, give us your experience with the Neshama blend at this point. Like, what are you using it for, and how does it help you? Thank you, Sigal. So if you would, unmute yourself, because it's a regular Zoom call, so you can unmute yourself and share.
Kara, at some point, I'd like to read the letter that.
Oh yeah,
Can I do that now?
Yeah, let's do it now.
Okay.
And then you guys think of an answer, and please share, because it's so much fun when we see faces and have other people talk. So please get your courage up, put on your Neshama, build some bravery, and talk to us after Shira reads the letter. Okay, so this is the letter that Shira sent out with the original Neshama blend that she was sending out, and she'll read it in English.
Okay. Dear family, this essential oil blend was prepared with love and soul. The blend contains oils that were used in the Beit HaMikdash, service of God, and purifying the temple. I named this blend Neshama, soul. It is meant to be used, smelled, and massaged during this difficult time when your soul desperately needs healing and strengthening. During this time, I give you this special oil along with my prayers, and hope that you will find the strength to cope and heal your soul. May you never know more sorrow and pain. And then it says, Shir Chernobyl, heart to heart, doTERRA in Israel, and my number. Directions. Smelling this oil blend directly affects the system in charge of our feelings, and so it helps with the healing of the soul. Can also be massaged or applied onto the heart and chest area, back of neck, and wrists. And so this letter, as I can show you, goes with every oil. And on the back of it, I have a sticker so that people in the very beginning, when they received this, I didn't want them to think I was some crazy woman sending them an oil. So I sent them a sticker, and on it, it says that I'm an aromatherapist, a massage therapist, pastoral counselor. I've written a book called Heart to Heart Healing, so that they know that that I think of myself as a reliable source. And so it's made it comfortable for people to receive something without knowing who I am. So that's the letter.
Great. I do actually just discovered how to share my screen. So I wanted to play the YouTube video that Doterra made about the Neshama oil with Shira speaking, in case there's many of you may have already seen it, and so it won't hurt you to see it again. And some of you, this might be your first time viewing it. So hold on for a second. I hope that I can. Let's see. Oh, nope. Didn't quite figure it out. So I'm not going to waste people's time trying to figure it out. So I'd like to open it up to people sharing. A lot of people shared on the chat, but if anybody would like to unmute themselves and share your experience, it could be with the Neshama. Maybe you got the original Neshama that Shira sent out, or maybe it's the one from doTERRA Europe, and just share your experience with the blend at this point. And because it really helps other people to know how to use it when they can hear your experience. So anybody want to share?
I can share.
Hi, Karen. Yay.
I got this beautiful blend. 1 second, yes. And yeah. I was already in love with it the first time that you showed it to us. And thank you, Shira. You're amazing. And the story behind, and it's not only like the blend itself, which is with so much emotions, but the story which comes with it makes it much more powerful and with so much meaning and so many emotions. So thank you. And for me, I like to use it especially during at nighttime before I'm going to sleep. I used to use a balance blend until now, and I like to rub it around my like in the heart area and on the pulse points on my hands. And now I start using Neshama, and just calms me down. I think that even starting with the name itself, already there is like sense of like so much relaxation and like quiet and peace. And then when using the oil, so it makes it even greater. Like the name with the smell, with everything related to it. So it's amazing. So thank you so much. And I go to sleep every day with your Neshama oil.
Thank you, Karen. Anyone else want to share how they use it and what they're experiencing?
Well, I'll share. It's actually, I met a woman. I live in Israel, but I was doing an oil workshop in New Jersey a few years ago. I'm gonna cry. And a woman came, and at some point toward the end, I started to talk, I guess, about the Neshama oil. I don't remember how we got there. And she said, I got her oil. She sent me one. And,
wow.
You know, I was sitting in New Jersey, and she lost her son in the war in the South. And he was a soldier living in Israel alone, and his family hadn't yet moved to Israel. And you sent her the oil. And I just feel like I'll never forget that moment of connecting with this woman sitting at the table. I knew that she had lost her son. I knew that, but I didn't know that you sent her the oil. And to see this woman's face, you know, there was kind of like a moment of shock, but then like a really many moments of connection. And so when you were talking actually about the cedarwood, so cedarwood is the oil of connection, or one of the oils of connection, right? The trees grow together So it's very much the roots grow together underground, and it is the oil that brings us together. It's an oil for building community. So you talked about community a lot. And I really felt it as you were talking about. I was like, oh, that's the cedarwood. That's that cedarwood doing that. And of course, the frankincense, the levona from the ketoret, from the holy incense spice, are grounding trees. So thank you for putting together the oils in such a beautiful way and for just gifting it all over the world. It's unbelievable. Honored to be part of the journey with you on it.
Thank you.
Hannah.
Thank you, Hannah. That's beautiful. That story. That's it.
Right.
That's what
Right.
it's about for me.
Right.
You know, when I hear that, that's that. I don't need any more, because when we connect with one another in a world where everybody's on iPhone or this or that or busy, when we connect that one moment of not being alone, it stays with you for the rest of your life. And if that's what the Neshama oil can do for people, that's it. That's what it was made for. Thank you.
I'm gonna share the chat. A couple of people shared on the chat because they
I
couldn't
would like to
unmute
say
them.
something.
Okay, great. And then I'll
Hi.
share what other people. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, Shira. Hi, Kara. Hi, everyone. Shira, I just want to let you know that I love you so much and thank you so much for creating this blend. The Neshama oil has helped me so much. Back in 2013, when my mother passed away, it was very hard for me. And I came into contact with Doterra in 2015. And of course, when you and I connected, I shared with you about the fact that I had lost my mother. And you had given me the Neshama oil. And I used it every day. And it really helped me to really deal with losing my mother. And I just want to thank you, Shira, on behalf of the Hebrew Israelite community in Dimona, because there have been those that have lost loved ones. And every time I reached out for you to let you know a situation, a loss of a loved one, you never failed to make sure that that individual received the Neshama oil. And I want you to know that it has helped so many. It has helped so many. And I'm sure maybe they've reached out for you and shared, but I've shared with you how they have helped so many in the community who have lost loved ones. And I just want to thank you, appreciate you. And when I saw the video, first of all, when I saw the promo, I was so excited. It just brought tears to my eyes. And then to see the video, because I've seen the steps and I know how passionate you are about this. And I just want to let you know, once again, I love you. I appreciate you, Shira. Continue doing what you do. And it's when I use that oil, I feel you. I feel your spirit and the love and the dedication that you put into making that blend. And I just wanted to just share that.
Thank you, Zahari. You know, Doterra, Kara, first of all, Kara taught me about expanding who I am, because Kara brought Doterra to Israel.
Yes.
Kara opened up a whole new world here. And Kara taught me, you know, I learned from my children, my daughter-in-laws. I learned from other people. Kara taught me to open that up, that part inside of me. And I still learn from Kara all the time. But Kara was my teacher, and Doterra encouraged me by what I learned through them to not just stay in a little box, but to take something that was important to me and give it away. And I've done that with the support of all of you, but particularly my family. And I really have to say, you know, my husband died 1.5 years ago. And this all happened since he died, this project. And I really believe that the angels above help with what they can't do down here, they're doing above. And I know that he believed in this project.
Yes.
He put labels on all the bottles and he encouraged whoever needed it to know that this was really important. It was part of his love for me and for the world, particularly the Israeli world, but also the rest of the world. So thank you.
Awesome. There's a couple more people that want to share. Sigal.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Sigal Zoldan. I normally live in California, but I'm visiting now in Israel. So I'm in the Dead Sea right now. And first of all, many, many thanks for you, Kara, and for you, Shira. I'm hearing the people that are sharing, and it's touching my heart. Like you said, in a world that we are not connecting, we are all the time on our phones. So we need to connect through our souls. So when I heard this blend is here and it's called Neshama, oh my God, I immediately knew that there was something there to explore. And so I'm in Israel, so I could order it because I don't know when it's going to be available in the US. So that was like a blessing, good timing by itself. And I wanted to say I just got it a week ago and I started exploring it. And I like to take a blend and an oil and just let it guide me. I put it on my third eye, put it on my heart, and let it show me the way. So right now in a process of exploring where it's taking me, and I feel that I'm in a spiritual process. Every time I come to Israel, it has to be spiritual. It can be just, okay, I'm visiting the family, I'm working, I'm traveling, but I actually came for a month and I decided to extend for 3 more weeks, and I might extend more. And because I'm like looking for to deepen the spiritual quest and come back, you know, with insights. So it came right on time. And I do feel like you're saying, Shira, after a period of so much heartache and grief and loss and quarantines and all that, we really need to reconnect with our souls first and then with each other in a different way than it was before, to elevate, to come to a different place. And when you're talking about the ketoret, the incense in the temple, it's like, you know, going back to the sacred things that were so sacred and precious, and let them elevate us, and not because many of us can be so discouraged from things that are happening in the world. And we need the elevation. We need to go back, you know, to source, to creation, to God, to spirit, in order to do things in this world that would really touch us. Like I'm visiting here and I haven't seen my mom for so many years, and I'm just posting on Facebook about her, and people are sobbing. They're texting me, oh my God, I'm so touched. And I'm so happy that I can use the media to touch people. So this blend is another way for us to reconnect with our soul and be touched and touch others. So thank you so much for bringing it forth to all of us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sigal. Thank you. Thanks. So Yael Holland, who I know has been a big help in this project, she is so amazing. So I want to give a shout out to her because she's, I know, been a good friend and a good partner for you, Shira. And she was sharing that she gave it to a friend who lost her mother recently, and it's helping her in the grieving process. And so I want to just reestablish again for everybody before we get off the call that this blend can be used for so many things, but its original intention was to help and assist the mind, the body, and the spirit in the process of grieving and the process of loss. And so this is a great oil. I mean, so many times I love the traditions in the Jewish world of what we do around grief and loss, but it's not the traditions that are in the rest of the world. And so many times we move through that process and move very quickly back into routine and don't give ourselves the time that we need for grieving and mourning a loved one. And so I really feel that this is a great way for us to be conscious and give attention to grief and loss by sharing this oil with others. You know, first of all, using it for ourselves if we're going through that process ourselves. And if you hear, it's like twice a day, most people are saying twice a day. Give yourself that time and attention to put on your third eye, your heart, smell it, and be quiet with how how that makes you feel and what you feel, even if it's intensifying the sadness, let it come out. But I would like to encourage everybody, it's a limited time offer right now. It's in the holiday. It was brought out for the holiday season. You can get 2 on your order for a limited time. I think it's 2 per month. And I would like to see it sell out in Europe and Israel. So Doterra said, we got to do it in the US too. And get one for yourself and get one to share. Let's continue Shira's project with this oil. She made it and would send it out to people for free. Let's commit to ourselves to get those 2. You definitely have to keep one for yourself because you need to use it and explore it, and get that other one and give it to someone that needs it right now. You know, it is one of our concepts of like, oh, well, you can start a membership and get Neshama. Let's take this month, November and December, to be those people that we all are, of sharing, free, you know, sharing it, being abundant, purchasing it and giving it away. So I encourage everybody to continue Shira's project of getting your Neshama oil, buying the 2 and giving one of them away to someone that needs it right now. Because it's so special to get a gift like that, and you'll be rewarded tenfold in your business and your spiritual and mental healing yourself.
Kara, before you
Yes.
finish,
Oh,
may I say something?
Yes. Lil's here. Lil's our great grandmother in Doterra.
No, come on, I'm not that old.
No, she's not old. She's just like, she's our reason why we're here with Doterra.
Yeah. Well, I'm so grateful for Shira for creating this blend. I met Shira and Kara, maybe 8 years ago at a Doterra event, and immediately fell in love with both of them. And through the years, Shira has, when we've met up in Europe at Doterra events, and she's even mailed me some of her oils, her blends. And she actually doesn't know this, but I have my very own bottle at the convention in September, the International Convention in Salt Lake City. Someone said, I have a treasure for you. And they handed me this. And I was so overwhelmed that I knew that the process was happening, that Shira was trying to share with Doterra Corporate, with Kara's help, to see the value. And, you know, you talk, Shira, about the research of ancient history in the Bible that we love and why these oils are important, and modern history, modern revelations, I guess, of why, yes, the oils are so good. But all of that is wonderful and amazing, but the most amazing thing, Shira, is you and your heart, and that you were so determined once you got the idea to listen, and you listened and you created the blend, and you shared the blend with so many and have uplifted so many people, that the real treasure in all of this, Shira, is you. And you're so 100% correct if we can make one person feel better, then that's the paycheck. That's the joy of this life, is to make someone feel better and to share and to give and to lift each other. And I didn't know your husband had passed, but you spoke of him often, and I know how much you were not two people, but you were one together. And your example of the way you talked of him always touched my heart. So I'm sorry for the loss of your husband, and I 100% agree that he's on the other side. He's your special angel, and he's allowing and helping the windows and doors open so that you can continue your work here. So just know that I'm very honored to know you, Shira and Kara, and all of you on the call that are blessing each other's lives and the lives that you touch every day with caring and sharing and giving and making a positive difference in this world. So thank you so much for letting me be a part of your journey. Bless you.
Wow,
you,
Lil, what a
Thank you.
treat to see you. Thank you. Do you know, Lil, I remember at the convention, and I remember giving you the Neshama oil when it was just in the beginning, because I fell in love with you and your heart and your husband and your kindness and who you are, and our talks and your sensitivity and understanding my heart like I am heart to heart. So thank you. Thank you. What an honor and privilege to have you. I do want to say to Yael, who has been a real mentor to me spiritually as well as physically with Doterra, with Neshama, this is a real humbling experience to have something like this be all in the world, and to remember that everything is about God for me, and this is all from him, and that Yael has kept me remembering the humility when I would get frustrated, and would she'd say, it's God's time, it's in God's time, just be patient. And she's been my mentor. Her family, her husband, they've helped me just keep to remember what's important here. And that is helping another soul. And that's what you said, Lil. It's just that one person, that beautiful story, Hannah, and your Zaharia, and all the people that I know who use it and love it. So I love you all. You're my family. This is what doTERRA believes in: community, family, helping each other, and special love for Kara, my daughter-in-law, who's taught me so much about life, about living, about love, about caring, about dreams. And so thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for being on. Thanks for putting up with a little bit of technical difficulties in the beginning. I really appreciate all of you and being here to honor Shira and this process and bringing it into the world. And please get Neshama, share it, use it. Be in touch with me or Shira or your upline if you have any questions on how to get that on your order. And please God, we'll get it into the United States soon. Thank you so much for being on. We're exactly at an hour, so we're going to end it. Thank you, Shira, and thank you everybody for being here. Have a beautiful, it's Thanksgiving here in the United States and Hanukkah soon. So happy holidays, everybody. Love you.
Love you. Thank you
Bye.
again.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yes.
Shira.